Oh,
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the McShin.
I don't know what that was, but that was not me. Hi, everyone. I'm Honesty Liller. I am a woman in long term recovery, a proud alum of the McShin Foundation, and the CEO of the McShin Foundation. And I am doing the podcast today. Nathan is on his way back from Vegas, so we hope he makes it home safe, and he will. And my guest today is one of my best friends in the world. She has been my friend since I came through McShin over 14 and a half years ago. So we have a lot to talk about today, about friendship, we're going to throw a little trauma in there, and just some cool conversation. Really nothing planned. We're just going to have a cool conversation about recovery and life and being a woman and cool things. So who are you?
I am Kelli Tuck. Honesty is my best friend, as I said. Yeah, what else?
Yeah, it's Kelly. And my son couldn't say Kelli Tuck, so he always
Kelli
calls her
Tuck.
Kelli Suck, even though that he's 12 now, but she's still Kelli Suck in his life and our life. So just want to have a conversation again, just about some things that we've been through in our lives and how we've overcame them, and not even just that, but also like how you can remain, have friendships through the process of recovery and life and children. And we're going to talk about cool things. But first, I wanted to talk about how I met Kelli Tuck. So it was 2007. It was about a week before I came back to McShin. Kelli Tuck was a volunteer at the McShin Foundation. So there was no female staff. It was just kind of Kelli trying to help the few women back then. It was very little women getting into recovery and staying in long-term recovery. And I still remember this. I don't know how. I was high. And then I came to McShin, met John, came back like the next day, and then I met Kelli. And I was going through withdrawal, so I was dope sick. And she took me. So first off, she went through my stuff, and she kind of left a needle in my bag and did not take that out. Then she took me to the hospital to try to detox. And back then they just gave me a half of Ativan. And I looked at her. I'll never forget this. I pulled up to Smith House and she dropped me off at Smith House. And I looked at her and I said, "You do realize I'm going to get heroin." And she did the best she could and tried to talk to me and talk me out of it and everything. But soon as she left, I got in my Jeep and went and got dope and shot dope in the female recovery house. I'm telling you all this because this is how our friendship started. I'm not telling you this to our viewers that live in McShin Foundation that this is something that you should do. This is just my story. I'm here to tell that. So with that, I ended up leaving McShin the next day with my then boyfriend, now husband. And I came back. I used for about 4 more days, and then I came back to McShin a day after my recovery date. So May 28, 2007, I walked through McShin's doors again. Kelli was there to help and guide me to the best of her ability. And now, all these years later, I'm still here. So it's still back then that peer-to-peer connection, just one individual that, had a little more recovery time trying to help another. So, that's my story, and that's, again, I think she tried, but I don't even know if you remember that because it was like 100 years ago.
I'll never forget that
But I remember using, and I'm just grateful. Like there was a woman here to at least talk to when I got here, and then when I got back, that was a pivotal moment for me in my recovery because being a woman, I was 26 years old when I came to McShin, and not seeing a lot of women in the 12-step meetings that are held in the building or just in recovery. The recovery movement back then was just a lot different because this was 2007. And, having women like Kelli that were here, it was, I truly believe is why I'm here today. Like people like her and Rach, my other friend, to like guide me throughout this process. And not even just guide me in my recovery, but just we'll dive into some funny stuff and some emotional stuff too. But for friendship, at least for me, and and when I was using, I didn't think I would ever have friends. Like I had like drug friends, I had people that I use with, I had, um, a lot of acquaintances. But recovery has taught me the true French, what true friendship is. And between her, Mackenzie, and Rach, like they've been my friends, for the past my whole entire recovery. So it's been really cool to be able to have friends this long and not just text friends, like the really deep friendships, and my recovery and the people around me taught me how to do that. So what does friendship mean to you, Kelli Tuck?
Yeah, so as Honesty was saying, I met her like through McShin. And I'll just tell you, like through this journey, I the same way did not know what friendship was. It was definitely there wasn't any real definition of friendship when I was out there using. Um and I guess today, like it's not only, it's definitely a two-way street, throughout this process. Like I relapsed a few times after we had become friends, and I always came to you, like the first person I came to. And so it's like it's just funny how things work out. You definitely do meet like true people throughout this process. And yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about that too. So let's unpack your reoccurrence of uses and like throughout your recovery journey. Because for me, I haven't used drugs or alcohol since I came through McShin that second time. Those 4 days. It's 4 days later. I have not, but people around me in my life that are really close to me and just friends and just working here at McShin, I've definitely seen my share of other humans, having another use. So talk about that a little, like so say you talk about a few or a couple, like how your reoccurrence of use you feel like started. How can our audience avoid that, or like what do you do when you have a reoccurrence of use? I mean, I know you call it honesty, but not all of y'all are going to have my phone number. So I know that that's one of the top two probably things that she does after she uses, by the way. But what suggestions, or could you, if someone feels like F the world, I'm never going to stay and recover, because you've been there, like I've seen you, F the world, F everyone, childhood trauma, so much stuff. And it's like, when you get to that point, how can you avoid actually going out to using? Because nowadays, you have what, 7 years in recovery. I've got it. So nowadays it's straight fentanyl if you're an opiate user. It is just, people are dying, by the second, unfortunately. And so what advice could you give someone that, has, a past, or like doesn't think they can ever stop using, or even if they have longevity of recovery and then they use or they want to use? What suggestions? You do yours first and then.
Yeah. So I definitely was, a chronic relapser for a lot of years. When I first my first experience with trying to get clean was in a treatment center for 30 days. And I left the treatment center and immediately went out and used. So one of the things I learned over time is, like, now my second treatment center was here at McShin. And I stayed for a few weeks and left. And I just, I struggled for a long, long time. And I learned that, like, going to meeting is definitely, a priority. And it was like one of the things I tried to like really dive into and really come up to McShin. And, McShin is a huge part of saving my life.
Talk closer to the mic.
Okay.
Slide it up if you need to.
So
McShin's a huge part of your life.
Yeah, so McShin's a huge part of my life, and they've been a huge part of this process. It's a place that I've always like fell back on. So I say just get involved in meetings, and if you want to use another, mistake that I made for a long time is like not picking up the phone and calling somebody until after the fact, and that's not what I um definitely try to call somebody before you use, and stay connected. Like, stay connected for everyone at the McShin Foundation. When you leave the McShin Foundation, stay connected, stay a part of, because giving back to the newcomer and to others is what is a lot of time what keeps me stable in this process.
Stable.
Some days.
So we are get in the herd. Get in the herd. Like you gotta find your herd. You gotta find the people that that you like. Number one, you gotta find people that have what you want, all those sayings and stuff, but like have deep connections. Like the humans that I that I choose, I get to choose today the humans that I'm surrounded with, which is one of the best part of recovery, I think. Are positive, motivating, but they have their own shit too. Like they have their own stuff that they've been through and they walk through their pain or trauma or great stuff too. Like that is the humans that I want to be surrounded by, the people that live real life. Like, so I have this saying, and I took it from someone here, because I follow so many people, like mainly women, positive women on Instagram and stuff. And I don't know who it was, but I'm taking it. It's like, you're a real model, and Adam and I, my husband is in long-term recovery. Like we're real models for our children. I don't really necessarily believe in the role model. The role model I see is a human or individual that fills a role in this world. I think a real model is individuals that make mistakes, go through pain and suffering, overcome so many barriers, whether it be a woman, whether it be a felony, whether it be a mom, whether it be a dad, a loss of life, whatever. Like we're real models. And I know for our relationship, at least, like we keep it real 100. I can tell you to shut the F up, and you can to me, and not very many people do that to me, but you and a few others. But it's like, that is what like friendship is about, because this is life or death. Like this is literally life or death out there right now. And why not have the humans around you that support you no matter what, but also give you advice or give you the strength to make some really hard decisions in your life, and I know some things, that Kelli and I have been through, and we're not going to dive into it, but it's childhood trauma. Like both of us have our own share of trauma in our life. And I have, well, and you too, I mean, a ton as a woman. I had so much trauma while I was using, the things that I did to get drugs, the things I did to my daughter, all of that type of trauma was really hard for me to overcome. Even though I was in recovery, it was very, very hard for me to overcome. But about all of that, most of it, because I am writing a book and I'm almost done. So this is live and in action, and this is my first promotion of my actual book. Okay, so let's get those eyeballs more on here. So it's got a lot of trauma in it that a lot of people don't know about, but it's coming out because I feel like there needs to be some more empowering and over and being able to get over trauma in this world. It's just especially as women, and all the women I've seen, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds through here coming to McShin, specifically the moms, is like I can connect with from my trauma. And trauma, when you hear that word, sometimes it's like it has to be this big, huge like ordeal or whatever. But trauma to me is like something that has affected me so negatively, even if it was something that I get triggered by. Like certain words trigger my trauma, and it's trauma that's happened in my recovery, childhood, addiction, and in my marriage. Like certain smells, I get this trauma, feeling, and I want to run, or sometimes I think about using, but very, very rare. But mine's more of like getting in my car, getting my credit card, getting in my car and just driving, and like not having throwing my phone out this is not a dream, but this is how this is how the addictive brain works, is throwing my phone in the ocean, because I love the ocean, that's my jam, throwing it in the ocean, driving in my car, and then when I run out of money, I run out of money. That's like when I want to run, instead of facing my fear and facing my trauma and facing my drama, but now it's like recovery teaches me throughout this process, and friends like Kelly, is like how to talk about that and have healthy outlets. So I run, I exercise, I wrote this book, I a journal, I do meditations, I do so many awesome cool things in my life, because this is the only body, mind, brain, I mean, I think, that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So why not take care of it and not run from my problems or run from my trauma, but face it sometimes with a delicate blankie, instead of just, oh, I'm going to just solve my trauma. I was like, sometimes, do you want to touch on like how you overcome your trauma and how you get through that? And
Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is live and
definitely.
it's going out to a lot of people. Just remember that. It's not, we were just saying really quick in my office. I was like, okay, everything we just talked about in my office, we are not going to share on the podcast, because, you know, some things are just not meant to be heard by an audience. Go ahead.
So yeah. So like I just want to touch on this real quick. You know, like we've all had lots of trauma, and I know pretty much everyone that I've met throughout this journey has suffered some sort of trauma. And you know, like for me, I've kind of been subjected to it my entire life. So you know, it's not something that I had to learn early on throughout this process, that it wasn't something that I could just like run in and fix immediately now that I was clean, because that was not the case. And so yeah, so I don't know. I've definitely had a lot of trauma in my life. I um you know, still struggle with it a great deal today, because it was you know, it was family trauma, and I you know, unfortunately still have relationships with some of those people in my life that still damage me in a lot of ways. Um and you know, and it takes time. I think that you know, it is tying it back into the friendship thing, you know, like I would not be where I'm at with it. I you know, I still, you know, and I find myself to not be the only one to still, you know, struggle with that when something comes up of me, you know, running and ready to jump, because that's not the best way to handle it at all. And you know, and it's a learning process, and I think that you just reach out to you know, your support system, and do your best to get through it.
Yeah, so that brings up the topic of boundaries. So this is something I've been trying to work with Kelly for probably 13, almost 14 years. So boundaries. So I tell the participants and try to help with just my own lived experience. I don't have all the answers. All I have is what my brain has and my lived experiences and stuff. So talking about boundaries really quick, just to kind of give some tips to the individuals watching. And also we're in 48 jails. So to all the lovely, lovely people in jail that are watching this too, this podcast goes out to 48 jails in gosh, across the country, to be honest with you. So hundreds of thousands of inmates have watched Get in the Herd and all of the McShin's videos. So like I told her, there's a lot of people watching. But setting up boundaries. So I've had to set up boundaries with family members, with old friends, with people, even my husband. You know, when I came to McShin, I broke up with him. He was my boyfriend that I met in treatment. Again, this is my story. I'm not telling everybody to do this, but we ended up using with each other for like a year. But I had to break up with him when I came to McShin. I had to be figure out what the hell. I did drugs for 14 years. I had a daughter that was 5. Like I needed to. Honestly, I just wanted the detox meds and detox off of heroin. I mean, let's get real. But then I ended up staying here, and I had to leave him. So I had to set up boundaries early on, and set up boundaries with family members that I felt, you know, or acquaintances or friends that I felt was a detriment to my recovery and brought back stuff. So and I know in trust, like Kelly, we have dealt with a lot in Kelly's life, and we're not here to kind of dive all through that, but just how proud I am as a human and as a woman and as a mom, and just so many things of like the growth that you have had in specifically these past couple years. And I'm getting emotional because having true friends in your life and like seeing humans in front of you, not just get off of drugs and alcohol and recovery, which that's freaking amazing in itself, but like really learning to love themselves, is a gift that you can never put a price tag on. And for the past couple years, you've done that. You have really, really, really shined in the community, helping other people like you, but also like helping yourself and finally learning how to love yourself, just a little bit more each day. Do you want to touch on like anything that because I know you're super humble and all that, but like in the past 2 years, like what do you feel like? So take a few years ago to where we were at then to where you're at now. Like, what do you feel like attributed to you getting stronger as a woman?
Yeah, gosh. The boundary thing, it has been a struggle. When I first got here, I did not have boundaries with anybody. I still, for years until recently. And I'm not gonna particularly dive into trauma either, but I will say that, a good portion of my trauma was like childhood abuse, right? So the boundaries in my life like are surrounded around my family and my mom in particular. And so so for a long time, I would, continuously like tiptoe and try to show up. And, let me like is a lot of us who have used, we don't, like we don't know, we weren't there, we weren't present for a lot of situations and in our family. And so when I got clean, I thought like that's what I needed to do. I needed to be, at every family occasion or holiday, and part of me wanted to do that because I was clean. But unfortunately, as I stayed clean and stayed on the journey, like I um realized that I didn't have to like subject myself to hurtful situations or be around people that don't support me. And it's been tough. It's been extremely tough. But what I've learned is like I have to, or what I'm learning, um, that I am worth more than that, and I have to take care of myself, and I don't need to be, have hurtful things said or put myself in situations that like are a detriment to my like health and well-being. So yeah.
Yeah, and even like your life, like, and I know that we've been down that road a few times as well in recovery. It I really, really, really try to live my life every single day to the best of my ability, being a kind human, but not only that, but trying to instill in another human on this earth on how to be kind, how to make mistakes, how to overcome mistakes, and how to deal with your past, so you don't live in your past, and a lot of my book touches, it's my life story and how to overcome a lot of things and empower women, men, whatever, doesn't matter, whatever you identify as, is a human, and I'm big on the human because all of us as humans go through some form of, okay, maybe you haven't had trauma, but some form of someone hurting you or a negative outlook on life or something. And I think it's the biggest part of like for me in my recovery journey and being a woman in the place that I'm in is really truly diving deep in like my inner soul. And I tell the participants, and I don't get to spend as much time with them as I used to, but I tell them like learn how to love yourself. And it could be little tiny, little small things on a day-to-day basis, and for me, it was like post-it notes or like positive affirmations, journaling, looking at my body in the mirror because I hated it so much for so many years, from a child to recovery to addiction to freaking shit, to be honest, up to 2 years ago. Like, and my struggles with that. And it's like, I had to really dive deep and like again surround myself with some amazing women, but also like really dive deep on, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I have an awesome husband, I got amazing children, amazing friends, a great career. There's so many things to be grateful for on this, on this planet, and when I get in my down in the dumps or like social media, go down that rabbit hole of other people's lives and like look at them, look how cute she looks. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I don't care. I took Facebook off my phone. And I do watch it a little bit. Oh, Derby, that's my mom. Hi. But anyway, so it's really like the little things that we can do and that I've seen you do, like in our day to day life. You got a dog, that you take care of, you have friends, you've got kind of I don't even know little sister that you kind of take care of and try to be a mentor as well. And then I have children that show me every single day, like how to be an authentic human. Every single day, my children do. My daughter's almost 20 and my son is 12, and they are my teachers, and they get to teach me on a day-to-day basis on how to be the human that I want to be. And the human I want to be is sometimes, what the hell, Destiny? Why did this happen? Like, what the F is happening around this house? What is going on? And also, like, again, we're real models up in the Liller home. And we keep it real with our kids, and because we have to. I'm pro parenting, keeping it real with your children, but it's also like teaching her to love her body, love her soul, love herself through the tools that I've learned in recovery and the humans that I surround myself with. So I get to help the next generation learn to love a little bit more, but also learn to love themselves, specifically my daughter, because, she's a woman and, a lot of us, a lot of women, have that low self-esteem, body image, whatever. I don't think she has any of that, but I damn sure did. And for a long time. So it's important to be able to instill that in our children for that next generation, because this world, as everyone can see, if you watch the news, which I'm trying to ban that too, but it's not happening in my house, but is the world is just an effed up place right now, hands down. And in so many levels, but there's so much beauty to this world. And there's so much greatness to this world too. Like, it's kind of dark in here and I'm just like, I need a pink flower in the corner or something. And like, I had COVID. So we'll touch on the COVID really quick. And one of my staff actually made a comment. He's like, gosh, I love it when you're in a great mood. So it's like, I am finally starting to get better. I'm running again, but it took me 1 month since I was diagnosed with COVID to get to where I'm back running and exercising, and I'm not doing it as hard, I guess, as my brain tells me I want to, but my brain is learning how to just cope with the illness. So it's like, even just having COVID and like surviving that, I got myself a Peloton bike. It's my birthday on Sunday and I survived COVID. Hey, so I got me a Peloton bike. I don't have my shoes yet, so I haven't used it, but it's like that stuff, really appreciating your body and like, your soul. And like, again, this is the only body that we have. So we have to take care of it to the best of our ability. So those are just some of the things that I'm here on this earth 100% to help women, specifically moms in recovery. Like, I know my purpose on a day-to-day basis. And it took me a long time to kind of see what I was doing around here. Is it working? People are dying, going to jail, and just all this. It's like, there's so much negative outlook still on addiction that I try to instill in the humans that are around me. Like, there's still positive shit out there, on a day-to-day basis. There's so much to be grateful for. And I think if every human, whether you're in recovery or not, and you're listening or you're not listening or you're driving, and which I hope you're not listening and watching this while you're driving. Oh, please, Jesus. But I don't do any of that stuff. But, it's like, if every human had just a little bit of recovery skills, could you imagine, Justin, could you imagine what this world would be like? He's texting. I mean, seriously. And, let's touch on the kids really quick. So Kelli, all right. So my daughter was born in withdrawal of heroin. If you know me, you know that story, and she was 5. I wasn't a mom to her from womb until I found McShin, when I kind of learned how to be a mom here. So she was 5 years old. I put her through hell. I did horrible things. I committed so many felonies with her in the cars, multiple things that you do when you're using, right? So when I came into recovery, I got Destiny back. I needed a nanny. Like, well, I'm not bougie, so not a nanny, but I needed a babysitter. And Kelly literally is our recovery herd and the moms that, and Kelli Tuck was the babysitter for probably I don't know, 8 of us women, if not more. And Kelly does not have children of her own, but she has a dog, and I consider them as kids 100% because I love my Shelby Monroe. She's my angel,
Definitely
my Yorkie.
kids.
But Kelly so another cool thing about Kelly and like our relationship is she's helped to raise my kids in a certain way because she would take them with her. Had a lot going on in McShin early on. We had to grow this company, John and I and other staff members in our board. And, I was away from my kids a lot. So Kelly was my go-to sitter. So talk about like how that not just my kids, but everyone's kids, like how that impacted, like helping other people, specifically trying to help raise the next generation.
Yeah, so I just want to go back real quick. You
Lord.
talked about it in your book, like the empowerment piece, like this ties in. It's like I, would not like be where I am today without like that empowerment from other women. And so I try to get back and do that today, to other women. And I think that it's definitely helped me in the long run be a better person and take better care of myself. What are we talking about, kids?
You're the super nanny.
Yeah. So I, when I came around, I still love kids to this day. They're all kind of grown up now, but I, that was like one thing that like helped me early on in my process. And I don't have kids of my own, but I fell in love with many of people's kids in recovery and a select few that I've like watched grow up. And it's like, really cool to see like, like Honesty was saying, her daughter, it's like, I've been able to, show them like the right way a little bit. And I've tried to be a good influence on them. And, and I just think that's like really important in life. And, so although I don't have any of my own, it's been cool to have others in my life that I, can influence. And by the way, my dog is my child.
Yeah, 100%. I know Derby. That's my mom. She pets are definitely kids. They need us and we need them. Talk about their kids. So really quick, their 2 dogs are literally their children. And I get to run with Rainy Storm. I run her on the beach because my parents live at the beach. So I that's one of my favorite places to be with God, is the beach and to be on that sand and ocean and running with her. I mean, she's such a good dog, but Rambler's amazing too. But I have a special place in my heart for Rainy because she's my running partner. And look what Destiny got me. So my daughter, for some reason, she always gives my birthday present a week before. I've never had one of these where it has their name and Destiny and Wyatt. She gave it to me last night. And like writing this book so a lot of my trauma is childhood, but also just the stuff I did to her. Like it's traumatic towards me, the stuff. And like to be able to see this kid that's almost 20 years old, she works full time, she's in college, she helps out with another family member that needs our help. She got some other shit with her too, though. But I can't express to the people out there listening, like if you're a mom or dad and don't have your child, like I promise you, if you work hard in like not even like a job, possibly get a job, you're going to need money for kids because they're expensive. But just really work on, for me, is forgiveness, really learning. And I just met with my sponsor. So I'm still in 12 step. I met with my sponsor the other day and we did some steps, and she wants me, actually, I haven't done it yet, look up the word forgiveness, because sometimes we forget to forgive ourselves. We can forgive others easy, just to move on with life. But like the stuff, even to the day-to-day stuff that I do, like I have to give it to God and like really like forgive myself, or I believe in spirit and like release it to my spirit that looks over me and stuff. So I think like part of life is like forgiveness. And it doesn't mean you forgive someone that's done something completely horrible and like y'all are best friends and y'all are going to Starbucks later. Like that's not what I'm saying. Because there's people in my life and situations in my life that I know I'm supposed to forgive or I have forgiven because I've moved on. And it's like stuff that you can read my book and read all about it. But that really traumatized me, but I shoved it down for so many years using that when I started writing my book this year, like so much like stuff that I blacked out from using started coming up. And I was like, I might need a therapist during this whole book writing session, but that's why I have my friends. It's free. But I really do think I think I'm actually I forgot to tell I'm gonna look and do you know a good therapist? I want a woman, but I think I need like once a month, like talking to a medical professional because I have so much just anxiety still. But anywho, back to what was I talking about? Kids. So seeing Destiny and how she's grown as a young woman, it's like something I never thought I would see. Even early recovery, I figured one day I would use again. Like I knew I would end up using again, or at least drinking. Like I knew I would drink again or something. I was 26 years old, and even though I'd already lived a lifetime for like 30 people, again in my book, but I am pimping out my book for real. And I don't have the name for it yet. And everyone keeps asking me because there's a ton of people that want to promote it. But I think it's going to be, well, I have a launch squad. Kelly's on that. But I think it's going to be Heroin, Hope, and Healing, Diary of a Woman in Recovery. So more will be revealed on that. But it was if you've ever thought about writing one, I talked about it for 2 years. I manifested that shit and I finally did it after my husband saying, just write the damn book after talking about it for 2 years. But it's such, if you write or anything, you don't have to write a book, but it's such a healing process to be able to get stuff on paper. But being a mom and like having people like Kelly in my life and like Rach and Mackenzie and Stacey, like all these moms that are in my life too, like to kind of guide one another and each other in this process, whether you're in recovery or not. I think, you just get your herd, you get your people that can give you advice on certain situations. Like with Destiny, I was so young and none of my friends had kids, her age. So I just had like a couple women in my life that had children. So when I got Destiny back, I didn't know what the hell was going on or what was happening. So even though Kelly isn't a mom of a human, she's a mom of a dog, I needed that, throughout my recovery and throughout, still to this day. She does clean my house. She does clean my daughter's room. That's a pigsty. So I hope she's watching this on her break. So she does have to, I pay extra for Destiny's room. Damn it. That's another whole topic on how to teach your child to clean her room. But again, I adore her and the process that we've been able to heal, in recovery and just being a human in general, because recovery gives you these skills, right? These tools is what people call them. And, but it's more of like life skills, like how to deal with life, how to deal with death, how to deal with trauma, how to deal with, okay, for instance, these people, I got a little procedure done. They charged my insurance and they sent me a bill for $894 last night. I said, oh my gosh, that's so much money. I was like, so old Honesty, even a couple years ago, Honesty, for real, I'd freak out. Why the hell? What the fuck? Blah, blah. I don't have $1,000. Well, I was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it tonight. Adam's like, what can you do? I was like, I know nothing. So I called today and they fixed it and it's only $300. So I saved $600 from one phone call. So just like little things, like how do you handle like when life shows up? Like, how do you handle not popping off? Not that I don't pop off because that happens. But it's gotten way less and I'm just a lot more serene. And I think it's really since, Adam and I was going through our stuff when I had pink hair, is what I kind of refer back to life to. Like our life now is like 1000% different because we went to therapy, and like I guess maybe I'm getting older. I'll be 41 on Sunday. Hey. But I'm not a woman that cares about this or anything. Like I may one day, I don't know. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying like, I should be not here. So every birthday I have, I feel like is super special. Because we're here on this earth. Right. And 41 is just a number. I just try to live the best life that I can. People say, come in my office all the time. They're like, gosh, I wish I was 20 again. Fuck that. Oh, woo. CEO here. I keep it real. But after that, when I was 20, I was shooting heroin. Like, no, thank you. I don't want to go back to my 20s. 20s were not good until I found the McShin Foundation. So what are some little tips or tools when someone cuts you off? Well, let's not talk about that to you. How about like when life shows up, what are some little things that you do in your life?
So, boundaries, boundaries are a big part of me taking care of myself and keeping me from, as everything we've talked about before kind of all wraps up like me, the majority of my life today, from like popping off at somebody or doing something stupid. But I also, I'm a big believer about therapy. A lot of us, me and, one of those people, do suffer from not only addiction, but mental illness. And that's a part of my story. And so, doing therapy and finding tools and other outlets, to use, to keep me sane and calm and, and reaching out to other people. And, I think I think it's a work in process. I don't think that we're ever perfect, but I can say that, when I make good decisions today, it definitely like inspires me, and, to continue to try to, in the next situation, not react that way or respond that way. Because in the reality, responding and reacting, just causes you more, or causes me more pain in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like I'm just sitting here thinking as you're talking how we've responded and reacted to one another. So I tried to sponsor Kelly once. That didn't work out. That didn't work out. That didn't work out.
I want to ask a question
That
real
damn
quick.
Applebee's. Yeah.
So you said you tried to sponsor her, and y'all are like best friends, right?
Yeah.
So what, like, and you don't have to answer this if you don't. What was the, I guess the block there? Like, why didn't it work out?
Sure, I can answer that right now. No. Kelly, this was forever. This is 8, 9, 10 years ago when I did this, and it was only for I could say 6 months maybe, because the block was this. Okay, Kelly wanted an easier, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not wrong. An easy, soft way of recovering. So she would ask her friends to be her sponsors because she was scared to get open and real with a woman that she didn't know. Right. She wanted it comfortable. She wanted her recovery comfortable because her life and turmoil and her pain and her past trauma was uncomfortable. So she wanted it comfortable. So the reason I don't like to, I'm not going to use fire. Like the reason I no longer did it was Kelly was big back in the day of constantly coming to Honesty with the same exact issue, and not listening to any suggestions and not being in the solution to this that was ultimately detrimental for her recovery, Applebee's. But and so I had to put up a boundary for myself and my own personal recovery because I would get resentments towards her as her sponsor because she wouldn't not only take any of my suggestions, because I get that, and to a certain extent, I've taken most of my suggestions for mine, but not all. But it was more of like being in the solution for your life and your longevity of life as a whole. And she won't have in it, and we just agreed to both kind of be friends, but part ways because she just she won't picking up what I was putting down. And I had to set a boundary up through my sponsor's guidance that I could not no longer do that or be a detriment to our friendship. And my friendship meant more to me than having a resentment as her sponsor. I mean, that's my version. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I definitely was not in a place in my life that I definitely wanted the easier and softer way and the quick answer. And, and I wasn't ready, man. And it just, I am grateful that I'm grateful that a lot of those relationships, because Honesty was not the only short-term sponsor for me. Pretty much had a short-term one until I was probably 5 years clean. But but I'm grateful that through this process I've been able, I've had some really good friendships that have come out of that, and people that I still have some strong relationships with today. So the process is different for everyone, and you got to find somebody that you can talk to and be honest with and be ready to do this thing.
Would either one of you ever sponsor like a friend?
I would try not to.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to now. Back then, it's still, again, like I feel I'm just beautifully almost old, 41. But back in the day, there was not that many women in 12-step. I mean, it just was not. I mean, it was not. I mean, I'm so grateful that Rach took me back because she had me and then I used for a while and she took me. But there just wasn't that many. But now there's no need for me to have to sponsor a friend. There's hundreds of women in this area that have long-term recovery.
Right.
So I mean, if a friend asked me today, like, if I would say hell no, period. But but if a friend asked me, I think I would probably say no. I'm pretty sure I would but guide her to a lot of respected women that I respect in their recovery. To sponsor them, because it's just, I just don't feel like I need to do so. You know what I mean? And it definitely, and I know other people that have had their friends or they've lived with their sponsors or like stuff throughout all these years. Yeah. And yours might have turned out, most of them turned out okay, but a lot of it's hard. Like, especially here, like I would have chicks that are staff members I was sponsoring. So it's like, it was hard. It was difficult because it's like, you want to be a safe haven for them to come to. But if they messed up at work and you're their boss too, but you could talk to Jesse about that on Friday because he is now the boss of his sponsor. So y'all can talk about that on Friday. But I don't know. I mean, I think I believe, and I was telling maybe my husband, because we get deep now, but God puts people or humans or situations, whether you believe in God or not, I do, people come into your life for a reason. They come into your life for a reason. They're in it for seasons. We go through seasons as humans, whether they're beautiful, dark, painful, lovely, ugly, hot pink. It doesn't matter. Like, I think that season, there's some form of growth, through that process of us, but I think one of the reasons, the best thing that come out of it is like we could, finally get to a place as friendship that we are today, because I put that boundary up and was like, I can't do this anymore, and I know you've had some more, but I think the biggest thing about, like, whether you're 12-step, faith-based, whatever pathway, abstinent, they're all there's so many that's another thing. So many pathways to recover. There's the weed. There's so much stuff now, that it just wasn't like that when I came to McShin. It was just basically 12-step back then. So now, the humans that we serve or that come to McShin, they have just a mixture of kind of what is their recovery, what is their pathway going to be, which is super cool. What else? We have a ton of stuff, I guess. Hey, Deborah, ton of stuff we can talk about. One thing I do want to do while my brain has stopped working is my dear friend, Ryan Hampton. He is a huge advocate for recovery. One of my good friends. I can honestly say, he's helped me a lot and I've helped him. So that's what friendship is about. But go get his book called Unsettled. I just got a ton of copies. We're going to have a book signing here at McShin in October, hopefully. I don't have the date, but just follow us on social media. But he's an amazing writer, an amazing human, amazing advocate for change. But this book, John just told me down that he's like, I bet this is going to be a movie. So I'm waiting for this to come out as a movie so I can get my popcorn and watch. But I'm going to read the book too, because I love to read as well. But anyway, go out, Unsettled, Ryan Hampton, and get that book. That is my shout out to him and the amazing work that he does. It's about the Purdue Farmer bankruptcy settlement. He was in the courts and doing his thing for 2 years, and then after he resigned, this book came out. So it's gonna be sketch, in a good way for him, but just how our systems work and how the government works and big corporations work when people are dying all around us. So it's going to be awesome. I have not read it yet. I just got it like an hour ago, but so that's a shout out to him. What else? So sponsor, how about just being a woman in life and recovery? I believe, and I think I'm trying to, shatter in the glass roof on that. Some of like the expectations of being a woman, a mom, a wife, a woman in recovery, a CEO, whatever. Like I just dropped the F-bomb, and that's just, I'm human, and I know if people judge me for it, it's just, that's between them and God or whatever they believe in. But life is just too short to be all judgy and stuff. So I really don't care for any of that. And I'm living the best life that I can. So it doesn't really matter, but I'm helping humans every day. But, what are some things, about being a woman and like getting through your trauma and like just for when, like, so it's just, and men you can listen to because men have trauma and been through stuff, but I'm saying like really the root of like how the woman empowerment movement has changed so much amazingly the past few years specifically, like anything you can touch on that, like being a woman.
Yeah, I think for like society as a whole has like always put so many expectations on, on women with different topics. And I know like I feel like I, have a lot of expectations set, probably more myself than others have these expectations, but expectations set of where I should be, should I be over my trauma? Should I, like, or the way I look or, the way that I act or, and so like back to this empowerment and being a model for other women is just, I just think it's important that we all like stand up and stand together and, be there for one another and be that support system and share your experience, strength, and hope. That's definitely what has empowered me, from other women in my life. And I think that, that's what we all need to do. Don't be afraid to share your story or share things, with other women, because for me, this process, like, I am not sure that I've ever met another female that has not had some, has not been through something, and that I've gone through in my life. There's always somebody that can relate to you, and so I think it's like really important for us to like, definitely like let that be known and let your voice be heard as a female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're hope dealers, no matter what, like from dope dealers to hope dealers. Like we deal hope just from our own lives and lived experience, and I truly believe like being a woman and like all the things that I've achieved, in my recovery and not really my life. I can't say life because I didn't achieve, really much in my addiction. I achieved many ways to get by on a day-to-day basis. And through my recovery and like writing this book and like really diving deep of like my accomplishments, because there are those days where it's like, who was I talking to? I don't know. I was talking to someone the other day, and it's like those days when we're like down in the dumps, and like I look around me and like, what have I achieved? Or like, am I making a difference? Or like, or my kids, I don't know. It's just like so many things still run through your mind. I mean, for me, I can speak for me, that still run, like I have this negative self-talk, and it doesn't last long at all in my brain anymore, because I do look around and I really dive into like, shit, man, like my life today, I couldn't even imagine when I walked through McShin's doors. Like I couldn't even fathom, being on a podcast and being as open as I am, having children that love me, having a husband that loves me, adoring my husband, like all of those things, having a supportive family and friends that have been through me through thick and thin, oh Lord, been with me through thick and thin, awesome staff like Justin, like, you gotta like take, just get out of that pot of like, for me, it's like I can get depressed, and like I can get in these like dark holes. Like when I had COVID, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like this depression came in, and my husband helped me through that, and like Derby, all these people checking on me, my mom, and Mackenzie, all these people checking on me, because it was very, very scary, and it really messed with my mental health. And just the news makes it just, gosh, even more scarier. So it's just like, and I was like, I wasn't ready to leave my kids, and just so many just different things went through my mind. But like, it's just made me a stronger woman because I have survived it. I mean, I think I have, hopefully. But also I have lived experience that I don't push anything on anyone, but I have lived experience that, I was vaccinated, I got it, my kids are vaccinated. Like, this is my story to tell, and this is my truth to tell. And like, when I get in these like depression holds, and I know you've been in them too, and we've been in them together. I had a whole winter depression. I didn't know what it was. So I started pumping some vitamin D and C, and like, what the hell is this? And that's what I found out it was. And, even in recovery, we can go through depression. We can go through stuff. We can go through people harming us. You can harm yourself. You can make poor decisions, that you're going to have to work through. But you know what gets me through it? This man right here. Where's the camera? David Rose from Schitt's Creek. That's what gets me through it. I have literally watched Schitt's Creek 6 times through. 6 times through. I know that was loud. I screamed. I get so excited.
No, I thought you were going to say Adam at first.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
him too. Well. No, Schitt's Creek. Kelly Wasaki, thank you. She put me, it was like right when COVID hit, she kept posting something or telling me about Schitt's Creek. And like, I started watching, I was like, what the hell? Everyone is funny. So I've watched it 6 times, and that's why David Rose graces me with his presence. And I can't tell you enough. Like, Schitt's Creek is the funniest show I have ever watched. And you can like it, hate it, think I'm a weirdo, lame ass. I don't care, because it literally has gotten me through some dark times since COVID started. Like, there's nothing like putting on a funny show or funny movie and laughing your depression out, or laughing, a situation out. Is like, I'm all about laughing that shit out, and some days you can't, do it, and you have to walk through your crap, and you got to sit through it. And I have those days too. But I'm going to tell you, get me a Schitt's Creek fan club, because I will be the presidente. I mean, seriously. So go watch that. Get Ryan's book. So let's close it out on, what do y'all do? Grateful for? Or you don't do anything like that? I don't really want to do.
Sometime we go around and say, hey, any last words, anything
Yeah.
like that, which is pretty basic.
Yeah. How about something, and you can go first, unless you want me to, but give me something that you love about yourself that you can still instill in other humans.
I am so grateful for this process, man, and learning how to love myself. I would not, man, I just wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for like other women in my life. And so I'm just really grateful for that. I'm grateful that, I'm able to like not only take care of myself, but help others and take care of others. And I'm definitely grateful for the life I have today.
Me too. And I'm glad you're in mine. I love you.
I love you too.
I I don't say great. I guess I and try to empower myself in order to love myself on a day-to-day basis so I can help change the world. Like that is not, cocky, it's confidence. Like I hated myself for many years in addiction as a child. I did not like myself. I hated myself when I came to McShin. Just from all the stuff I did to Destiny and my family. But now I can honestly say, like, I love who I am. I have a lot of work still to do, but I can still wake up every morning and I talk to God and just say, thank you for waking me up so I can not only help myself and help the humans that I serve here at McShin, but help my family, and be the wife that I can be and be the mom that I can be on a day-to-day basis, because life is a gift. I mean, it literally is a gift. And, we have to go out on a day-to-day basis and try to make this gift very, very pretty with a hot pink bow.
Hot
Yeah.
pink.
So thank everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. We hope to see you tomorrow, Nathan's coming back from Mobilize Recovery. Again, Ryan Hampton, get his book Unsettled. He is the king of Mobilize Recovery. And y'all are gonna be talking about Mobilize, right? And then we have some other guests, and Jesse and his family are gonna be on Friday.
That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, so get in the herd. Well, this one was great, so top this one. Yeah. But just learn how to love yourself today. Even if it's just a little tiny bit, learn how to love yourself today. So thank you, Kelli Tuck, for coming to help me do this and being my friend. And I value you in your life and the life that you helped me achieve from being my friend. I love you.
Same.
Peace.
Here at McShin, we believe in the McShin way, which is authentic recovery support service providers, people with lived experience, bringing that experience to those who need that lived experience in recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in many things to support our mission. We believe in women empowerment.
What I love most about what we believe here at McShin is we believe in the authenticity of the peer-to-peer approach.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in giving people opportunity.
Here at McShin, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
At the McShin Foundation, we believe in helping people reach their full potential.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in multiple pathways to recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in placing principles before personalities to help spread hope.
Here at McShin, we believe that recovery is possible and that any person seeking recovery can become a more acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in self-discovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in saving lives and offering second chances.
Here at McShin, we believe you can do this.
Here at McShin Foundation, we believe that we can only keep what we have by giving away, which is why we continue to help others like us seek and find recovery.